On the course now is the final of the club men's cock state. Again, the current title holders are Sydney Rowing Club. This year, in lane 1, Toowong. In lane 2, Swan River. In lane 3, UTS. In lane 4, Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 5, Melbourne University Boat Club. In lane 6, Corio Bay. In lane 7, Banks. In lane 8, Yarra Yarra.
And they're making their way through the halfway mark, and UTS have just pushed ahead of Sydney Rowing Club by the narrowest of margin, 0.03 seconds at the halfway mark. Melbourne University are in third place, and in fourth over on the far side of the course, Toowong. They're then followed by Corio Bay, and then Yarra Yarra, and then back to Banks and Swan River at the tail of the field, but UTS in the lead. And the UTS combination out to about a third of a length now, advantage over Sydney Rowing Club. Sydney looked very dominant in the race for lanes as they cruised down, and Melbourne University were working hard, about 5 points higher, just to go that little bit faster than them. The Melbourne University crew with a very experienced Gary Butcher on board, Jonathan Hookway, world junior champion in the coxless pair from quite a number of years ago, and Tisan Koo, who's making a welcome return to the coxswain seat for Melbourne University Boat Club. They're coached by David England, and in third spot, but it's UTS that are now stretching it out to about half a boat length. They've got James Waldersey on board in the 7 seat. He's was part of the New South Wales Penrith Cup crew last year that placed third, vastly experienced oarsman, and now they're just starting to sneak out a little bit of a margin, taking a seat every 2 or 3 strokes from Sydney Rowing Club in second spot, and Melbourne University are certainly hanging right with Sydney, only at about a quarter of a length back in third spot. In fourth, we have the crew from Toowong over on the far side, and then back to Corio Bay, Yarra Yarra, Banks and Swan River in 8th place in this Club Men's 8. A relatively new addition to the Australian Rowing Championship event list. It was won last year by Sydney Rowing Club. They dominated the club events, but it's UTS here that are currently leading. Paddy Holt, George Finlayson, Zach Whitehead, Josh Stubbs, Wilson Kearns, Henry Lees, James Waldersey, Marcus Elster, Tim Morrison Coxian, coached by Tim McLaren and John Smythe. And UTS still with a nice advantage coming into the last 250 metres. It's stretching out to 3/4 of a length from Sydney Rowing Club. And Melbourne University are throwing everything at Sydney Rowing Club in an effort to try and get their bow up level with them and get into the silver medal spot. Toowong on the far side of the course with a little bit to do if they're to try and get themselves a medal. They are clear of Corio Bay and Yarra Yarra, certainly giving Corio Bay plenty to think about on their bow side. Corio Bay on lane number 6, Yarra Yarra in lane number 8. But Melbourne University finishing this one off strongly. They've drawn up level with Sydney Rowing Club, who are trying to find a response. UTS will be the Club 8 champions for the men for 2017. Melbourne University pinch it from Sydney Rowing Club. They moved into the silver medal spot with just 3 strokes to go. Sydney Rowing Club bronze, 4th to Wong, 5th to Corio Bay. Just ahead of Yarra Yarra in 6th place. 7th will be Banks, and in 8th place, Swan River.
Before I move to the results of that race, a call please for Brighton Grammar. Brighton Grammar School, we need a representative please to come and see Andrew Guerin at the judges box. A representative from Brighton Grammar to see Andrew Guerin at the judges box. Thank you. The results of the Club Men's Coxed 8 final, a win for UTS Rowing Club, 2nd Melbourne University Boat Club, 3rd Sydney Rowing Club, 4th Toowong, 5th Corio Bay, 6th Yarra Yarra, 7th Banks, 8th Swan River. Provisional time for that race, 5 minutes 58.98 seconds. The margin, 2.26 and 0.2.